myself.
It's the most coordinated I've seen Ning all day so far.
I wonder, don't know how confident they are to go for a dive, but Xiaohao is level 6.
Xiaohao's level 6. He does have priority and is going to start to move down now as well, but I just wonder about the wave positioning and whether or not it's going to be a little bit too fresh. But the pressure alone of just moving into fog is enough. You can see Ultra Prime just have to respect this, right? You don't know where the Syndra is. Syndra could be waiting in that Tri-Brush right now, for all they know. They will slowly start to reapproach as the rest of Anyone's Legend back away.
Yeah.
Minions missed, plate picked up. Objective accomplished still for Anyone's Legend.
I mean, not just one plate. Like they've got 3 plates 9 minutes in without a Herald. This is a dominant bottom lane, and this is you're basically witnessing what Karma brings to the table versus the other enchanters. The other enchanters mostly about making your AD carry stronger, whereas Karma will defend your AD carry a bit, but will give you massive poke, massive wave clear in that bottom side. So a lot of early priority by just locking that Karma in. Great presence, like you say, from Xiaohao to set up for those plates. Herald now comes down. Ning has just taken the Herald, made a beeline straight to the bottom lane to punish these resets.
Yeah, punish the resets. We'll get 2 plates as well, so extra little bit of gold for both Sword and Doggo will feel at the very least a little bit nice, given how much CS they had to miss on the bottom side of the map as Forge. Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Let's go.
Yes. Which one's the fake one?
That one. We found it. Kinsey is not having any of it. Not having any of it.
The best part was he did it in Vision as well.
Yeah, Forge is like literally reading champion abilities mid-game here. He's like, what is this? What does Nico
He's
do?
like, wait a minute, I can turn into a mid. Alright, round 2. Round 2.
He's done it on awards. I mean, like, what wave ever stacks like this? He's running around. Well, I love you, Nico. I don't care if it's good. I'm enjoying it. That's the main thing. But the damage shots have been seen there from Forge, who is just having a whale of a time. You love to see it. Drake coming up, though, in a minute's time. AL were the first one to get it, so this could be 2 for them. Zora fighting for vision control already.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm sorry, I had to recover from that one, to be honest. Alright, vision control being taken here by Anyone's Legend. And that's a really nice trifecta of wards, actually. So all they really need is mid lane prio, move into fog, and then just try and bait Ultra Prime in, right, to the side, see if they can actually find the pick. They actually maybe want Pinzi, but they don't know!
It's a bit of a whiffed combo, but the root is there. The Tangle Bombs, the rocket comes in. That's gorgeous! Despite Ning not getting the Q, it does not matter. Ning will be answered for, though. Xiaohao is there. And with a jungler down, that's not that great for the side of Ultra Prime.
It doesn't feel great at all. Jungler dead means that, realistically, I think Anyone's Legend should be able to just secure this dragon for free. ZDZ is just trying to eye up, potentially a pull out. Angle not going to be able to find it.
No, he is not. Not at all. Here we go. Trying to go for the all-in on side. Doggo in trouble underneath the tower. Are they going to keep going? Moonlight Vigil, not enough. But I love this aggression. Brand new player stepping in from the LDL. He was trained up. Royal Starhorn Royal Club. I can't remember what their LDL team is called. It's not Starhorn. It's definitely not Starhorn, but it is Royal Club. He was trained up. He won split 1 of the LDL, and now showing off in the LPL. 4 plates taken.
Feels really good, and you want to see that confidence out of a rookie, out of a new player onto the LPL stage. And Ning, again, you know, Scuttle Crab, close coordinate, likely, but the rocket comes in, still connects onto Pinzi, and the damage is enough to take him down, but because he's had to commit so far forward for the kill, just means that he has to go down for it. Once he goes in, he's never making it back out. Second dragon secured again for Anyone's Legend. Dragon control, early stage has definitely been what they've put their priority on, and so far, paid off in game number 1. We'll see if it pays off again in game number 2 as it's the Hextech Soul this time around, and that's definitely a lot stronger.
He's just having a whale of a time. Man.
Yeah, definitely a lot stronger for snowballing. Oh man, he's on vision again, Joe. It's just, At
He's
what
just doing it
point
for
will
the
he get to
fans.
do it? When will he get to do it and not be on Vision? That's like,
That's a great question. It's a
You
great
know,
question.
it's
Look.
gonna happen at least once, right? It's gonna catch off a pro player at least once this game.
I mean, I just love that Forge, like, every time he does it, immediately, like, joins the wave, like, yes, I am a minion. They'll believe me this time. You know, like, nothing has changed, but this time it will
I
work.
think, honestly, I think the tech is to turn into a caster and be the last minion in. Or be like the third minion. That way it's a little bit.
Forge
Rocket
actually
Belt, wait.
uses Proto Bell there. Oh, yeah, sorry, Rocket Bell. That's a
Yes.
change from literally years ago. This still hasn't sunk into my brain.
Pro
I
Belt's
feel
a
like
cooler
it's
name
the,
though.
it's the changes like that where it's like, why did it change today? The item didn't change that dramatically. Like that aspect of the item at least didn't really change. So I don't know. Like when they changed the item dramatically, then I get the name changes. But I feel like Pro Belt was a cool name. It was
Yeah.
Proto Belt.
Maybe it's, you know, because prototype, and then, you know, it stayed in the game long enough so it got to earn the title Rocket Belt, you know?
I thought of it as like, I don't know, prototypes or something, you know, something sciencey. I didn't really think of it as like an actual. Most of it's like hextech stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I just assume they're making up words.
Yeah. Does sound like a lot of science sometimes, if you're, I don't know, just not so scientifically inclined, not knowledge side. It just sounds weird, doesn't it? It just sounds like made up words every single time.
Was that a low-key roast? Yeah,
that a
I
roast?
guess if you're not science inclined, you can think they were making up words. Here we go, Wild Growth to start off the combo. Chow trying to get out with his life. He flashes out. The auto isn't enough. And Pinsy turns gold and keeps himself going, but the zap from Doggo is pinpoint perfect.
Harry.
Now Forge moving forwards. No ultimate available for him. Is Harry turned Mega. The All Out won't quite pull him over the wall. Ultra Prime, they found themselves a fight. They found themselves a Herald by the looks of things.
Yeah, but they got the last two Heralds in the previous game as well, and didn't really amount to much, so the usage has to be really, really good here from the Ultra Pride side, in my opinion, to give me a little bit of confidence back in. The game state, you know, by gold is even, and, you know, you mentioned in the previous game the scaling of how those comps worked. This game, I feel like Ultra Prime, in theory, have the easier to execute team composition, right? You've got pretty solid and consistent engage from the Vi, you've got an Enchanter with a Jinx. The front to back is definitely very, very, you know, easy to play out, just because you've also got the Gnar as well for additional frontline, and Forge can, you know, Forge can do whatever he wants, I guess. You know, if he wants to play pure for any divers, he can. If he wants to go and try and dive Chichoye, he can as well. So it's really up to him. And I feel like Anyone's Legend maybe a little more nuanced, right? Because again, the engage options are slightly, you know, more micro intensive in terms of CDZ having to find a flank and Xiao Hao was having to kind of just put his body on the line to try and get a fight started up with CC coming in from Pinsy.
Doggo will not let Zora recall. And crucially, Drake's coming up in 45 seconds. Your support not being able to recall, not being able to set up vision before that objective is a big deal.
Yeah, it definitely is. Nice sidestep here from Doggo though in this replay. Stop himself from being stunned up. Ultimate doesn't quite connect from Forge. Xiao Hao looks it out eventually. Ning, however, does not get that same luxury. Really well placed that, and the Herald doesn't quite get leashed to dodge it, or to block it rather.
Nice little bit of play coming out from Ultra
Yeah.
Prime. They've got themselves a lead. They are 2 Drakes down though, and I feel like this is a similar spot to where we were in the previous game, where the gold is reasonably even. I think AL were a little bit further ahead in gold last time, but having those Drakes as well for AL seems like the win condition for them. Trying to get the Herald off, and they will be able to do so, but won't be able to finish the tower. Gets the priority. Forge over the wall, does find a combo, but chased down by the rest of the squad. Forge using his ultimate just defensively, but he will not walk away. What a combo coming out from the Aphelios on the side of AL.
And Pinsy also just catching him off guard with that scat of the week was so good. And now Ultra Prime, no mid laner, third dragon goes over to Anyone's Legend, and even though they didn't have the mid lane priority, they didn't really have any vision setup or strong vision setup, able to secure the third dragon of the game. And again, just continuing this dominance around these neutrals. That rocket is about a century late on that still. Not quite expecting as much burst damage perhaps onto that objective as what ended up coming out. And Forge, you know, cosplaying as a Vi, and then gets stunned up, knocked back. knocked to the side, and then the Aphelios murders him on Pinzy pressing Mizaki. So Forge really had no way of escaping.
Yeah, really great scat of the week there.
First CC came in.
Too, right? Like, as soon as they go over the wall to try and lock him up, Pinzy, max range scat of the week to follow up on that CC. Really nice stuff. And this is the thing, this is what we've been talking about with Anyone's Legend. The coordination is there. Like, when it comes to these scraps, they are absolutely on the same page. And perhaps this is the split where maybe they can change their fortunes. Maybe they can go back to fighting for playoffs like they were in 2022.
Yeah, definitely could be. It's only a one series sample size, you know? So I don't want to get overhyped. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna fulfill Orcs' role from summer 2022, where he was, he's dressing up as a panda. I'm not going to do that. But what I'm saying is that Anyone's Legend definitely look a lot stronger from this one series sample size than they did throughout pretty much the entirety of spring. So much more coordination in tow for this side right now.
Yeah, I will say, Chichoya looking pretty good. Zora doing a good job in the 2v2 as well. Like, the new bottom lane, I'm fairly impressed so far. Like you say, it's a very small sample pool, but off of first impressions, I'm pleased with what we're seeing here from Anyone's Legend. I hope we can keep it up. But Ultra Prime not done just yet. Oh, the minion nearly works out. Forge, 15th time is the charm as he tries to find the route. Won't quite get it though. Good little dodge coming out from Chichoya. ZDZ now trying to fight for vision control. Drake is not up for another 3 minutes. I'm not sure why we're all fighting for bottom river.
Funny, isn't it? One thing actually. Got some downtime. I don't know. Why did they buff Gale Force's cooldown? Why did they lower it again? Can we talk about that for a second? I'm just saying. Now
technically it's not as good early game.
Oh bloody hell!
It's a scaling item now, Gerard. It's a scaling item.
True. Yeah, no, I think it's good for AD carries to have a button press dash for free.
It's not for free.
You know what?
It's for over 2,000 gold coins. That's not free.
Oh.
Do you have 2,000 gold coins, Jamada? I don't think so.
No, I don't. Actually, I've been playing a lot of Mario recently. I might have 2,000. But I will say, I will give them credit on the Gale Force, right? They did finally change the active damage to be physical. But I think I know it does more damage, like optimally at the execute. So, they giveth and they taketh with both hands. It does feel. I'm sure we'll move out of the AD carry meta soon, is what I'm trying to say. Because I'm the CEO of AD carry 8.
I'm not sure we're moving out of the AD carry meta anytime soon, mate. I don't think we're moving out of it this year. I think this is going to be what Worlds looks like, based on what we're seeing in the patches.
Yeah. Victorious Jinx? Anyone? Any Churros?
I mean, I'm down for that. I'm a Jinx player. I'm on board.
Yeah. I wonder why you're on board. Yeah.
Here we go.
Enjoying this year.
Becomes a minion once more. Can he pull it off this time? He's dodging. The minion just casually sidestepping everything. It's not that persuasive. Doggo, half of his health gone. Tower now falls. The Moonlight Vigil's in. That's a Wild Growth force. Forge buying space for his team, but it's not quite enough. Ning toys with the idea of going back in, but I don't think that's doable. Why are we A-ramming, by the way?
Fun. Hey, Harry has a hole breaker. Who cares? Come to the mid lane. It's a party over here, guys. Teleport over. I mean, to be fair, he did think a fight was breaking out, so I guess he actually has an excuse to be here. The rest of the team, however, it's just tragic stuff. I never knew we was North America all of a sudden. But mid lane tower was collected by AL, so it works out.
Harry tries to pull him in. There is no damage from a Gnar and a Lulu, so he just kind of chills.
He also dashed out because Gale Force again, which I'm here to reiterate the hate I've got for the item. But it is a cooldown that's now going to be down for this dragon fight, right? So now we'll have to actually blow the flash if it does get caught out again like that. I think very brief, quick item check-in. Doggo, 2 items, other side, 2.5 for Cho here. So Aphelios also very much online. Ultra Prime, however, have first move in the river, right? So that doesn't mean Anyone's Legend having to check in. It could be a little bit scary into Nico, maybe into a Gnar. He can build up that rage bar.
Looks like Ultra Prime will be able to just get this Drake. Managed to find enough presence in that mid lane to force him away. ZDZ, not done with the idea just yet though. His Forge just rocket belts away. I got the name right this time. Keeps himself safe. Anyone's Legend moving up towards the Baron pit. We're keeping our eyes on Chichoyi. He's the guy to watch. He's the guy with the 2.5 items that you mentioned before. Harry gets stunned up by Pinzi. There's some good damage there. Pinzi forced away by the rocket of Doggo, and a great little ult from Harry as well. The combo is there, but can they finish the kills? Ult out from Xiao Hao. They finally get one onto ZDZ. Zora the next target, and he won't be able to escape. Double kill comes through for Doggo, and perhaps a Baron on top.
Yeah, just one brief misstep. Almost everybody on anyone's Legend dies, and that Ultra Prime should be able to get the Baron. They also stopped the Soul from spawning in, and is this just a repeat of game number 1 or what? 3 dragons to anyone's Legend, Ultra Prime steal away the 4th. The Baron is going to be picked up, but this time all members are going to be walking back to base with the buff, and it starts off with this attempted pick onto Harry, who admittedly is definitely stepped a little bit far forward, but with the Hull Breaker resists, level 15 with Mega Knight just not tanky enough. That knockback into the ultimate as well, of course, is just absolutely massive to split apart the fight. And anyone's Legend can't be coordinated if they're being split apart and dissected like that. And Doggo able to just open up for free onto the members in front of him.
You can see Happy on the coaching staff there. You can see Happy on the coaching staff there. What a great sentence, really.
You can see Happy
well constructed
on the faces
of the coaching staff. Yeah. Welcome to English Lessons with Jamada and Munchables. I can't speak good English. I actually tried to say that one wrong, and I got it right by accident. I was trying to say I can't speak English good, but I guess I can. I can.
That's also correct.
No, it's not.
It is. I can't speak English.
I can speak English good.
Well,
is not correct.
I guess you're supposed to say I can't speak English well, right?
Yeah. So good is not correct, like I said. Just because people say it doesn't make it correct.
Okay.
Here we go.
I get it.
Siege in the mid lane. Harry's in Magadar. I don't think they're going to actually go pretty here. I think this is a slow play.
Yeah, I think so too. Just slow burn with this and minion. I wonder if Forge is Vile. I wonder if Forge can come in as a Baron off minion. Just sneak in with the wave. Cause some mayhem. Won't be doing that, but that tier 2 in the mid lane will drop. Potentially just a rotation down to Ultra Prime to the bottom side. Fouls them at the very least, but maybe wanted to split up the Baron buff as Forge just off screen was a cannon minion. Harry might just make short work of this tower by himself. Just going to do that. Very, very easy.
That's the Hull Breaker coming in. I mean,
Yeah.
Hull Breaker plus Baron, like, on Nart,
Yeah,
you're very happy in mini Nart to just siege away.
I guess very briefly as well, hopefully we don't get any action. One of the few things that was changed, Triforce got a bunch of stat buffs. I mean, we can't talk about the top lane.
The combo's not super great, but they do finish off the AD carry. That scan of the week is huge, but it's not big enough. Ultra Prime, they want to finish this in style. 26 minutes on the clock. 3 members down to the side of anyone's Legend, and I think they're just going to finish this one off. They charge on through, looking for those Nexus towers. ZDZ not tanky enough. Neither Zora, who flashes away to get onto Fountain. Doggo chasing him down. And that will be game. That will be Ultra Prime taking their first game of the split.
Like a bit of a snap of the fingers there for Ultra Prime. Find one pick in the mid lane into Baron. Into game end. And he feels pretty good to come back from what was starting to feel like maybe a bit of a suffocating loss, but you know, towards the end there, Pinzi ultimate plus the scowl was big. Nah from Harry was bigger, and that's 2 games in a row where Harry has just had an insane amount of impact in some of these team fights. Continued to dominate the 5v5s, even though he had more of a split push orientated build. Ultra Prime definitely look more coordinated, I suppose, in the team fights, right? And I think some of that comes down to just having more CC, more lockdown compared to where they were in game number 1, and being able to actually play out those front to backs a lot easier with the Jinx as opposed to having that Coldmore plus the Milio in game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, the decisiveness of what we saw from Ultra Prime here was the key, right? They didn't actually win that many fights. I think it was like 2 significant fights that they've won there. And they've ended the game off of it. First one, they get Baron. Second one, they end the game. Like, that is the kind of decisiveness that we want to see. And the coordination this time, when they're making those plays, when they're going in together. What we saw in game number 1 was quite often that Equalizer would come down, Cyclone would be separate, like, weren't on the same page. This time, like, Ning goes in, the rest of the squad follows up.
Yeah, and I think we need to see a bit of a repeat of that, right? Harry's still performing really well from game 1 to game 2. Keep him on a carry, right? Make sure that Ning actually has more consistent lockdown, and I think they've kind of just found their mold for this series. I think for the side of Anyone's Legend, I'm still feeling quite positive, honestly, about their gameplay generally, right? I think that
Yeah.
the priority on the Dragons has been very, very strong. I think that generally their rotations have been fairly on point. I think it was this is one of those games where, you know, someone gets picked in the mid lane, you lose Baron, and then the game just ends, right? This is just one of those kind of I don't want to say, happy unfortunate games, but if I was a member of the coaching staff, I would find it kind of hard to find consistent early game issues where I was like, this is wrong, this rotation, etc., etc. It did feel like they were following their game plan pretty well. It just came down to that one pick in the mid lane, giving over too much inside the Baron and not being able to defend inside of the buff duration.
Yeah, and it felt like a bit of an overstep, right, when they were the Drake was already gone, and then getting picked off after the Drake, right? Like you need to be moving in there earlier. You need to be contesting while the Drake's still available, and then being caught out of position after the Drake. It's a bit unfortunate for Anyone's Legend. So certainly cracks in the armor being shown for the team after we've been praising them a lot for their coordination. I'm impressed by Jichoyi. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to regularly pronounce that name. It doesn't look anything like it sounds. We've been told it's
that's the worst part.
Jichoyi, which ZH is like a J sound. QIU is Cho, hence, Cho. And then Yi, like Yi. So, yeah, we'll try. But, knowing that and getting it in your brain automatically is two different things entirely. Doggo, great game, though, on the Jinx. Fantastic stuff. I loved the bit where he was just, like, ruining Zora's recalls. I think that was one of my favorite moments of the game. Also, Forge on the Nico, just being one with the minions. Absolutely vibing.
One with the minions. He is assimilated with the people. And yeah, honestly, found a couple of strong Nico ultimates, which did end up, costing Anyone's Legend a lot. I think specifically when the mid lane pick happened, I think the fact that Harry was able to knock back 2 people into a knock-up, which just kind of secures those kills, really did pay off the heaviest of dividends because it won them the game off the back of it. And it does make me wonder now where not only Ultra Prime are going to go in terms of draft priority, but also like kind of game plan priority, right? Because they've given up a lot of the early dragons. It's felt like a bit of a conscious decision because they've gone towards the Heralds roughly around the same time as, right? So do they feel like they can put up with that pressure? And will Anyone's Legend actually change their macro plan? Will they continue to prioritize these dragons? It feels like a pretty consistent way to punish Ultra Prime at the minute. Again, it just feels like it came down to that one pick in the mid lane where they overstepped, lose the Baron, and then also, like you mentioned as well previously, the 4th dragon, a very similar thing, just a little more discipline around those neutral spawns they're summoning up.
Yeah.
And it feels like Anyone's Legend have so far been the stronger team. It's up to Ultra Prime still to continue to upset the way that the first game went, and then a lot of this second game did too.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if they can make that happen. We're going to jump into a break, and then we'll go to the decider for the very first series of the Summer 2023 LPL Split.
don't really care about like all them fancy things. Never had a lust for cars or sparkly diamond rings. I don't really care about them platinum studded boys that run around the whole damn town just showing off the toys. Like do-si-do, I'm ready to go. Been a damn long week, it's time for the show. Call my girls like, ooh, don't you know? I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We've been working all day. It's time to dance the night away. I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We got records to play, so come let's dance the night away. Come on, like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Here we go. I don't really care about the fortune or the fame. Keep rolling on and holding on. Don't need that crown to reign. Push through all the pressures, just keep grinding 9 to 5. Yeah, I'm working hard, we playing hard. Goddamn, I feel alive. Like do-si-do, I'm ready to go. Been a damn long week, it's time for the show. Call my girls like, ooh, don't you know? I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We've been working all day. It's time to dance the night away. Here we go. I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We got records to play, so come let's dance the night away. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Man, we're taking over, yeah, we're running the world. If we stick together, there's no stopping us, girl. Man, we're taking over, yeah, we're running the world. Are we with my girls? Yeah, my girls. We've been working all day. It's time to dance the night away. I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We got records to play, so come let's dance the night away. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low.
Excuse me, please, but I'm standing. Left on right, you dropped it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LPL, headed towards game number 3 now between Anyone's Legend and Ultra Prime. So far, one apiece, and Ultra Prime, has to be said, dominant game win here in game number 2. Not dominant for the whole time, but when it comes to the later half of the game, like one pick and decisive destruction there, like turning 2 fights into a 1 game. Phenomenal stuff, and a much better game, it has to be said, than game number 1 from them.
Yeah, definitely a lot stronger. I think a very similar trend to game number 1, where yes, they did give up the Dragons, they traded it for the Heralds. I think the Heralds actually got a lot more in game number 2 comparatively to game number 1, where I think one of them actually just fizzled, actually just got killed in the middle of the charge. So I want to see more of that from Ultra Prime. If they're going to make these decisions to give up some of those objectives, actually make sure that you're trading well enough in return, right? That's the big thing. And I think Forge here, I can respect it. You know what? Sometimes, you know, you question some of the picks that come up for MVP. I think Forge actually earned this one a little bit ahead of Doggo. I think did provide a lot of very funny moments inside of this game, but getting not caught out, but being able to find this first roam, thank you very much, onto the bottom side to almost get this dragon, right? If it doesn't reset, then maybe this starts up something a lot different in terms of the early game for Ultra Prime. But time and time again, winning out on a lot of the smaller skirmishes for Ultra Prime, ready to give them or keep them with a foothold in the early stages.
Yeah, it certainly did. I feel like his Tangle Barbs were the most important part of his gameplay, honestly. Like, he had a couple of good ults, don't get me wrong. There was definitely some good ults from him, but I don't feel like the ults were the thing that changed the game. His Tangle Barbs set up for the rest of his team to follow up. Like, Doggo following in with the rockets on his combos as well. Like, again, like an ult that doesn't quite land, but the Tangle Barbs does. And the Tangle Barbs sets up the rest of the follow-up from the team.
And it has to be noted, don't forget, like, Tangle Barbs has an insanely long CC duration because it's like the first target it hits, I think it's like a second and a half or maybe a second. But like every target after that, it's almost double the duration. I don't think they ever changed that. So the CC can be immensely long. And then you tie that in with the rest of the kit. If that ever comes to fruition, a couple of times in this game it did, it gets really obnoxious. But the setup around him was what really enabled Forge to be a game winner there and claims his first MVP of the split. Now we have Anyone's Legend remaining on this blue side, and Nico will join the band.
You know what?
Yeah, you know what? Maybe.
That one.
Yeah.
I respect it. I respect
So
it
do I.
for Anyone's Legend. They're like, you know what? Nah. Vi going to be banned away as well. So the whole strategy from Ultra Prime basically being taken off the table. But Annie has made it through the bans. It was a huge pick. And MSI, and it's going to remain strong here in the LPL. Remember, it is that flex pick, although the vast majority of the time we do see it in the mid lane.
Yeah, we do, but with the bans laying the way they do, it does mean that Zeri is up and available. And it will be locked in here for Doggo. No, not again!
Oh, no.
No! We return!
Okay, let's calm down. Yeah,
Okay.
Yumi's back, everyone. Commiserations to you all. But crucially, doesn't have the same level of sustain that she used to. Bit more like buffing, bit more shielding. Doesn't have the same like healing power behind.
Yeah, not quite the same. It's the ultimate now that does the healing. And we'll see whether or not the Yuumi Zeri is as strong as it used to be. Spoiler alert, it's still pretty damn strong. Just about whether or not it reaches those same levels of absurdity of old. It will be joined alongside this Gragas pick up, so we'll see where exactly it will end up. Of course, three-way flex. Still the Gragas, very, very powerful. Anyone's Legend went towards that Zeri. Not went towards Zeri, went towards the Aphelios plus the Lulu. Beg your pardon, and we know exactly what this combination can do. So both hyperscaling with enchanters on either side. It's going to be about how both these teams decide to try and wrap up their drafts, their compositions with engage tools and things to try and stack on top to make the life of these hyper carries very difficult.
Yeah, gonna be. I mean, like, nothing in this draft is new. I feel like we've seen all of this before over the last year or two.
What?
We got a Lulu alongside a Aphelios. We got a Yuumi with a Zeri. Sure, Yuumi is functionally different, but fundamentally, she's still going to sit on Doggo's shoulders. She's still going to buff him up. Now also giving a bunch of move speed and attack speed with the Zoomies. I mean, obviously gave move speed before, but the Zoomies is going to make Doggo a monster, is the long and short of it. So now with the Sejuani banned, Diego, Lee Sin banned, down to the junglers. Wukong slipping on through. Ning happy to grab that.
Yeah, man. Wouldn't it be really? Actually, no. We have to have a bit of a different jungler here for Xiaohao because there's so many things. Wait here, unless something's slipping my mind. There's the Cassante, which is likely to get locked in. Will go into ZDZ's hands. What will the jungle pick be? I mean, it feels kind
Maokai,
of
maybe?
awkward. Maokai, yeah, Maokai is probably the best. If I had to,
You do have a lot of AP with the Annie, though.
I don't think it matters. I feel. Oh, okay. Now this is a
was
hot
banned
one. Yeah,
in one of the other games. I think it was game 2 this was banned out. I've
Alright.
not seen this, but perhaps this is something new. They'll be sneaking into the meta. Xiaohao locking in the Nocturne.
Okay, so one thing I will talk about with this Nocturne is its ability to stick onto something like Zeri, even if it's got a Yuumi on top of it, right? Get towards a Stride Breaker, the R is undodgeable, right? If there's no wall to hop over, you're stuck, you're going to get slowed down, then you're going to get feared, unless you can flash and cleanse that away. So I do like it in terms of getting on top of Doggo. It's just about who else on Anyone's Legend can actually follow up and be around those targets, right? So Xiaohao's going to have to be very, very particular about when he actually goes in with that ultimate, because generally it feels like he's not going to really have a dive buddy with it much.
No, not going to be able to have the whole squad going in. Unless you go like, you know, Pinsy, Rocket Belt, Flash at Tithers kind of thing. And then the Nocturne flies in. Also, all out. You could all out someone and then Nocturne follows it. So you can. There are ways. There are ways.
Yeah. I like what you're cooking.
We'll see. We'll see what they've got up their sleeves. I'm ready for it, though. I'm here for it. Nocturne locked in for Xiaohao. We'll see how he's going to do on the Rift when he brings it on through. Anyone's Legend, though, looking fantastic. Game number 1. Couple of mistakes being heavily punished by Ultra Prime in game number 2. and it has to be said, Ultra Prime, that I love that decisiveness. I want to see more of that in this series. I want to see that continue. But Anyone's Legend, their early game really has been the shining factor for them, right? The Shouthouse pathing in game number 1 was great. I feel like the early game was similarly good in game number 2 as well. So we'll have to see if they can keep that rolling. But Gragas versus Annie mid does feel like Annie should be able to get herself some priority.
Yeah, definitely should, but again, with the minion changes, roaming can be a little more punishing, can be a little bit more difficult to also just generally execute, so it could just be another game of moderately low roam rates from the mid lanes, but at the very least, like you mentioned, priority will always be there, right? So first move around objectives and generally skirmishing should be Pinsy favored, should be Anyone's Legend favored, and like you mentioned, and like we've been pointing out for a lot of this series so far, given how Xiaohao's been pathing, and generally how intelligent it's been, how smart it's been, not thinking Ning in these early stages could definitely bring about massive dividends.
Yeah, so I feel like our two compositions, you know, Ultra Prime kind of leaning into MSI still, you know. This, despite the fact Yuumi obviously wasn't at MSI, fundamentally, this is the same kind of like tank mid, front to back. We saw a fair bit of Gwen at MSI. While there was most teams leaning towards tanks, we did still see some teams playing with the Gwen for team fight prowess and for AP damage while you're running with Doggo as your main hyper carry. Side of AL though, like you say, tougher to pull off, definitely more execution based. And I will say, 3 games of Aphelios so far. Not looking to mix things up at all in that bottom lane. They're very happy to just play Aphelios every single game. And I can see the reason, right? Like, so far, so good. We've seen good mechanics on the pick, but on top of it, it's just a very strong pick in League of Legends right now.
Yeah, and you know, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, right? It's working here for AL. Generally, the 2v2s have been pretty their favored, so keep it coming. We'll see how it works into this Zeri and Yuumi. And one thing I would like to talk about, because we haven't seen Yuumi, of course, since MSI. It was also disabled, if I recall correctly, for a lot of regions playoffs. It's not all of them, I think. So it's been a good while since we've seen the cat. Thank the Lord. Unfortunately, it's back. Couple of different changes, right? Ultimate can now also be aimed by the Yuumi, right? Have to remember that it used to kind of just be, sometimes it could whiff. This time around, it kind of just can't. So Sword Art will be afford more leverage in that regard. Does also heal the target that they're on, and of course there is the best friend mechanic now, where effectively if they're attached the Yuumi to their best friend, they just get way more stats compared to what they used to get. Now Xiaohao was spoken about the pathing. He's looking for another invade. He won't get the wolf cap.
He is. Yeah, Ning gets the smite. Ning's sort of forced out there, but not fully at this point. Although, yeah, Ning sees better of the play.
Yeah.
Xiaohao
This is
won't
awkward
be
though.
able to stick around there. I think he's going to leave.
Yeah, so the awkward thing is, because Xiaohao's taken his 3 camps on the bottom side, if he walks up towards the top side, his bottom lane is exposed to a potential attack from Ning. So he has to stick around here. He's got lane priority, so he can continue to keep pressure up and high, and just kind of stalemate Ning, not let him farm, and then they stay at equal footing. Also, the Scuttle Crab spawning here, I guess that's also something that Xiaohao can contest over. Has to hold on to that E. Just because the tether, of course, will always reveal Ning if he goes into the decoy. Will eventually win out and get the Scuttle Crab. Curious to see, with all the priority he's got, whether or not he's going to go for another re-invade.
Looks like he'll get the crab and will just retreat in the end. But his chickens are coming up, and his crooks will come up after that as well. So can stay crucially on that bottom side. Like you were saying before, was kind of biding his time to make sure he didn't just leave his bottom lane out to dry while they were just crashing waves in. And the chickens respawning means he can stay on this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even be surprised, even though there's ward coverage, to just see him potentially hover back down towards the bottom side, but wants to now go towards where he knows there's more XP and gold to be had. We'll get double skull, actually, in this game. And then return back to farming more of his camps. And again, AL, with the information game, right? Know roughly what Ning's pathing is, so that ward will eventually give even more information in the future once that chicken camp spawns up, because you can see Ning, where's he got to go? Towards the top side, towards his Krugs, towards the Raptors, because that's where his farm is spawning up.
Yeah, absolutely. So they'll be able to spot him. They'll be able to keep a track of him. And so far, in the early games, they have been doing a good job of using that information effectively and trying to find advantages across the map off the back of it. It has been like, I feel like it's basically been, oh, Forge! Flashes away, will survive. Only just though. Flash for flash in the mid lane.
for flash. Pinsy maybe feels a little bit more worse for wear for that because Forge is always going to have, you know, non-committal setup for Ning to come in. So now Ultra Prime maybe can find a very strong 2v2 once level 6 comes in. Xiaohao, however, if he does hit level 6, will always be able to respond if he's near and in the area, right, with the global of the ultimate. So still have to take some care in that regard, but still, with no flashes now, mid lane a lot more volatile.
Yeah, to say the very least. It's definitely going to be potentially a scrap there, especially once Annie hits 6. Like, you can imagine Forge could be in big trouble, and Pinsy literally hitting 6 as we speak. So, curious to see if Xiaohao will try and go for that. Doggo with a good little slide. How far can he get? Not bad. Not a bad little go. You do see people going from the actual Nexus for that, but halfway up the lane seems to be the preference for Doggo. The Zeri slide tech is evolving over the years.
It is, and actually, what I also wanted to point out whilst I was talking about Yuumi, but we had the invade earlier on, is Zeri is also going towards a Triforce build. Now, with the buffs to the item, Zeri, if you recall when she first came out, I actually think she was intended to be a Triforce champion. Not very often that we see AD carries go towards the item, but now with the way that some of the mythics have changed for some champions, and Zeri, of course, used to lean on the Immortal Shield bow so heavily, finding new builds and build paths. I believe it's Triforce into the Runans off the top of my head. There's a lot of different options you can go towards.
Yeah.
It really just depends on what the game state is and how much damage you're able to get out with some of those items. One of the things about those item changes, of course, a lot more versatility, I suppose. But away from that, Dragon being stunned up again by AL, but this time Ultra Prime, they're in the area.
Ning's here. He wants to go for the steal. He's trying to move in.
He's got
Ning gets it! They did not have the vision, and Zora goes down as well on top of everything. Forge will be the consolation prize for anyone's legend, but Ning makes it happen, sneaks on through.
Yeah, all right, Ultra Prime, they break the mold of the previous. Oh my goodness me!
Harry's in
1v1.
trouble here. The all-out comes out from ZDZ. The needle work trying to turn it around, and it's ZDZ in trouble. The minions can't finish the job. Knocks him back, looks for damage, and gets the shield. They're both so low on HP, but ZDZ's on the wrong side of the play. The minions will be chasing him down, but Harry not confident to chase it, not confident to go for more. Doggo now gets the slow on through in the bottom side. The zap is there. Doggo flashes, but it's answered flash for flash from the AD carries, and here comes Nocturne. I hope you don't have nightmares here, buddy, because Doggo actually doesn't. He does not have nightmares.
No,
he just
doesn't
slides
care.
away.
He just cleanses them away. He's all right. But so much going on the map there. The top side play, I think I'm, you know, audaciously wishing here. I hope we get a replay of that 1v1 because it was so clutch. So many micro things just going awry for both sides to not actually end up picking up the 1v1 kill. But on the bottom side, flash cleanse blown by Doggo. That's Xiaohao. Use the ultimate, and you know, one of the old things you used to talk about with picks like Nocturne, like Shen the Globals, right? You would often gauge how successful the pick would be by how strong those first uses of the ultimates were. This time around, only picking up some of the spells of Doggo, you really want to see the next use of that ultimate actually pick up a kill, some gold on the back end of the play.
Well, the bot lane from Doggo and Sword Art only just resetting, now moving towards this Herald, whereas you can see AL's bot lane moving over long ago, not spotting that control wall, which could be bad news for them. But the wave being crashed on top side, Shoyi should be able to just clean things up there and move over as Ning starting off the Herald. TP not available for ZDZ. He's on the bottom side of the map, and that'll mean AL, despite rotating their bottom lane up to the top side of the map, won't be able to contest the Herald.
All right, well, Ultra Prime winning out on the macro game this time around. Replay of this steal from Ning here. Q plus smite. A little bit of the cyclone damage as well. Just wins out, and you know, Xiaohao's been winning a lot of the smite throughout this series. Unfortunately, Ning gets the better of him here finally. No 1v1 on the top side. It doesn't matter as much, mostly because of how close they came there to picking up that kill. But of course, the summoner spells do get blown by Xiaohao. Forward movement here. Feel like they can just about get him. Flash for flash, heal as well. That's when Nocturne comes in and blows the cleanse.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's Zeri. Shouting out Neon as he flies over the Valorant sign in the wall there. Gotta go fast, I believe is the term. Will be able to get out of his life, so Doggo. Both sums down, but crucially, didn't fall in the play. Didn't get the kill either, so all in all, I don't know who wins the bottom lane play. I'm not sure anyone really wins that bottom lane play, but Ultra Prime do win off the back of like the resets, getting tempo and getting priority over the Herald.
Yeah, it's more like, can Xiao Hao make it down to the bottom side and actually punish the fact that Doggo currently doesn't have summoner spells for the next minute? I feel like the answer is likely to be a result, but that could be proven wrong, of course. But I just feel like for now, the way that Anyone's Legend are set up, even though they are now finally sending Chicho back towards the bottom side, we just won't likely see a play just because the engage tools are so limited from their side.
Doggo trying to push this wave as fast as he can, but the thing is, the Aphelios still very, very good at pushing waves, still very good at finding priority, even if the plays have been going well, even if the CS numbers are pretty heavily in favor of Doggo this game. Like, you can see, like, this build is getting old school. Look at the build from Aphelios. BF sword into Zeal. You kind of love to see it. That feels really old school.
It does indeed.
Feels like a Tristana build.
Yeah, true actually. Miss those days. Miss those days a lot. Not really. Tristana back in the day. Do you remember the old Tristana where the E was like a bleed, and then sometimes like season 4 and 5 you get AP Trist, get hit with a point and click bleed for like 800 damage.
They like jump in, DFG, E, ult, and half your health is gone from the ult, and then you just watch the rest of your health bar tick down. You're like, no, no! And then you cry, and then you report the player for playing AP Tristan. ZDZ going hard again as Harry gets some damage down. I don't think there's space, although Xiao Hao moving over does have his ultimate available. That paranoia in play. ZDZ trying to look juicy. Harry not biting just yet. There we go. Knocks him back. The all-out to pull it further as well. Ghost rock, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The needlework.
Or will it?
Find a little bit of health back, but ZDZ slams him into the floor.
Yeah, Ghost does mean that Xiao Hao has also blow his flash, but at the end of the day, they still pick up